So let's go back to the authentication provider, then maybe up here let's create a check if user exists. Okay, like this. So let's just let Copilot do the code for us. So you can see that Copilot has checked for us. Okay, so what is it doing? So here it's checking for this phone number, and then it's going to the collection of users and where phone number dot equals to this phone number. Okay, so we can check like that, which is also fine, but this I don't like. Let's not check with a phone number, let's check with the UID. Okay, because the UID will never change. We can add some functions in our applications that the user can change the phone number. So if we are checking the phone number, if it's the same with what is in Firebase, we can be wrong. So that number can be different. Okay, but the UID does not change. So that what we'll do is let's remove this code for Copilot, then let's also remove this phone here. We just want to check with the UID. So here we're going to say document snapshot. Okay, like that. This is how we want to check. Okay, so we want to check if the document snapshot await firebase.collection. we are going to save the users in the collection of users. That's where we created these users. This is a collection. Okay, so let's go to, where is that, auth provider. So we're going to save our users inside the collection under their user ID. Okay, so we're going to get this document. Okay, with this ID. So this ID, this UID, which is on top, you know that it's coming from when we verify the phone number here, or when we verify the OTP here. After we've signed in with the credential, we are setting this UID to this user. Okay, so by the time that we are checking if the user exists here, we already have this ID. Okay, so we're just going to get that ID and get the document, and then what we're simply going to check if this document exists or not. Okay, so you can see Copilot knows here, so it's going to check if the document snapshot.exist. Let's close that bracket properly. Okay, so here if it exists, we're going to return true. Okay, so here we don't need to do this because here we're only checking only if the user exists. So let's delete that. So if this document exists, we are going to return true. If it doesn't exist, we are going to return false. Okay, so if user exists, which means it's true. If it doesn't exist, that is false. So which means now one of these in our OTP screen is done. So here what we're going to say is boo user exists, like that, and then auth provider check user exist. So what seems to be the problem here? So because this is the future, so we have to await here. Okay, and then we need to add an async keyword here. Okay, so this is how we are checking if the user exists. Then now if this is true, we're going to check if user exists. We are going to go with that, but let's remove this Copilot's code. We don't need this for now. Okay, so if user exists, what we said, we are going to do all of these things. Let's cut that and then paste that here. Okay, so if user exists, we are going to navigate to home screen, but before we navigate, we want to get user information screen, and then so this navigation, let's cut it and then put it here at the end here, navigate to home screen here, like that. So if user exists, get user information from Firestore. And then here, that's when we said we're going to navigate to user information screen. Okay, so now here we can navigate. Let us Copilot navigate to this screen. So navigator dot push named like that to user information screen. Okay, so now we're going to user information screen, but we don't need the arguments here. Okay, so let's navigate without these arguments. So let's delete that. Okay, so what are we having here? Because we have an error. We are going to fix this because we are inside the async. We need to await, but let's not worry about this now because we're going to change it. Now let's work inside here if the user exists. So the next thing now is to get user information from Firestore. Let's go ahead and do that. So let's go back to the authentication provider, and then after here let's just put a comment, get user data. Let's wait for Copilot to assist us. Get user data from Firestore. Okay, now let's see what it's going to create. So let's go ahead and click tab. So here you can see that get user data, it goes inside that collection, and then no, we don't want to get it like that because we don't have this method in our code. Okay, so what we can do here is let's just go inside. We can go inside like that. That is actually correct. What it's going inside the collection of users and in that UID and get. Okay, but here instead of doing it like that, we're supposed to say, let's remove that. We're supposed to say user data. We have from map like that, and then here in the map we are going to say document snapshot like that, and then .data like that, and then instead of doing that we're going to say as map and then string dynamic like that. Okay, that's how we are going to get the data inside our user model. Okay, so all of these methods you are going to see where they're getting the data once we load the data in Firestore. Okay, so now this is getting the user data to Firestore, and then we are setting this user data to this module up here. The next thing that we have here, so let's create everything. The next thing that we have is save user data to Firestore, not this one. We are not yet there, which is we're going to do that when we get to the user information screen. So right now we are in a OTP screen. The next thing is we have created this one is to save user information to provide to shared preferences. Okay, so let's come back here and then let's put here that save user data to shared preferences. So let's see what Copilot will create. So if we create that, so it's assuming that we have a method to save user data to shared preferences inside the global methods here. Okay, so which is fine, we can put it there, but let's put these methods for saving the user and getting user inside the authentication provider here. So instead of doing this, let's write our code here. So let's remove this, and then here first of all let's initialize the shared preferences, and then shared preferences, await shared preferences dot get instance, and then here we want to save the user data, so we want to say await shared preferences dot set string. So if we are setting the string here, which means we are only saving the UID, but we want to save the entire user model. Okay, so instead of a set string like this, we are going to set the string not as a UID, but let's set it as a user model. And then here now what we can do is we have to say JSON encode. Okay, JSON encode like this, and then inside here we are going to get the user model there dot to map. Okay, that's how we are going to save it. That's how we will save the user data to shared preferences. And then let's create this constant. So inside the constant down here, let's do a static const charts, not chart. We want to say user model. Let's copy that and then let's paste that. Then let's go back to authentication provider. So here we have saved the data to shared preferences. So since we have saved the data to shared preferences, we also need to create the method to get data from shared preferences. Okay, so what we can do is just below this, let's say get data from shared preferences, and then let's see. So Copilot is done it again. So get data from shared preferences. It has initialized the shared preferences here, and then created a string here for user model string, which it gets the string from here where we are saving it. And then once it gets the string, it's going to decode this. Okay, so also here we can't so shared preferences is setting the string to be nullable here. I mean Copilot, if we want, we can set it not now, and then here put an option. If it is now, we can have an empty string like that. Okay, so let's put it like that, and then so that here we don't even have to check if it is not now. Okay, so let's just cut this, then paste that here. Okay, so now that user model, we are going to set it to the user model string that you are getting. So here, remember, we have JSON decode, and then here, I mean JSON encode, and then here we are, it's JSON decode. We get that, and then we set it. Then also here, maybe we can also set the UID to the one that is coming from here. Okay, then after that we notify the changes. So we are getting the data from shared preferences like this, and then saving from shared preferences. Maybe let's also create the method for save user. No, actually that one, it's a lot involving of saving user data to Firestore. We are going to create right after we are done with this. So these methods are done. Let's go to the OTP screen. So here, get user data from Firestore. Of course, we are going to call again auth provider dot it's a get user data, get user data. So let's go on it. So here, maybe let's specify this. Let's right click and then say rename. We say get user data from Firestore, like that. Okay, yeah, we want to rename it like this. And then let's go to the OTP screen once we get that, and then let's also auth provider. Let's save user data to shared preferences. So all these methods, we need to await for each one to finish. That's when we do the next one. So even here, let's await. Okay, so once we do this, now we can navigate to home screen. So since we are navigating here and here we are navigating, let's just create one method here. Let's just say navigate, and then let's pass the required argument required. Sorry, let's pass something like is user exist, a boolean like that. user exist, then here let's pass true. Okay, true, like that. And then let's copy that and paste it here. And then here user exists, let's pass false. And then right after this, now let's create this method. Now in this method here, that's what we check, where we are going to navigate. Okay, if user exists, we know that we navigate to home. If it doesn't exist, we navigate to user information screen. So let's create that down here. So here, let's say we want to navigate to home screen and then remove all routes so that we can't go back. So here let's check if user exist, so we can do it like that, but let's so it's a replacement. It's going to replace the screen. So but we want to remove all routes. So let's just write a comment Copilot to do for us. Navigate to home and remove all previous routes. So this will be our code. So you can see that now we are navigating to home, and then here let's just navigate to user information screen. So this push replacement name is fine like that. Okay, or we can just let Copilot write it for us again. Navigate to user information screen, like that. All right, so now this is supposed to say user, like that, and then like that. So now this, let's copy and then paste here. Yeah, so that's what is going to happen in the OTP screen. Now we just need to call this method here. Where here? So we need to call verify OTP code. Yeah, so we're going to pass a verification code, and then we are also going to pass this OTP's code with a now check there. Then let's put a comma, and then also let's put a comma here. Okay, so this will be all the methods that we need in our OTP screen. And then one other thing that we need to do is, once it's verifying here, we don't need to be showing these words and then this send OTP once it's loading. Okay, so what we can do is we can come just here. We can start from here. Once the user has pressed, you won't press, because this will happen automatically on completed. So once it has started to verifying and loading and stuff, we don't want to show these buttons. Okay, so let's do some checks here. So first we want to listen inside the provider package. So let's come up here, and then here just below these arguments we can say auth provider, or let's say final auth provider. So let's put a small a here. So we are going to say context.watch. Okay, authentication provider. Then if we come down here we need to first check if auth provider dot is loading. Okay, so Copilot is already assisting us here. So if auth provider dot is loading, what we are going to do is to show the secure progress indicator, and then so we don't even need to show this dialog. Okay, so let's remove that. I mean this elevated button. So let's remove that. So here we are going to either show the loading the loading indicator, or we are going to show an empty size box. So let's say const sized box and then dot shrink. Okay, dot shrink. So if it is loading, we are going to show this loading indicator, else we are going to show the size box. And then now here, once it's successful, what we want to do is if it's successful, we want to show that check mark that it's success. Okay, so let's come here and then check again. Okay, if auth provider dot is successful, remember all of these we are checking inside our method verify OTP. So this one we are checking is loading, and then we are also checking is successful to true here. Okay, that's why we are checking them here. So if it is successful here, we want to show the container of the check mark. Okay, so let's say container, and then else we will show an empty container. Okay, so this one is going to be a empty size box if it is not successful. But if it's successful, we want to show this container here. So Copilot already knows what we want, so let's go ahead and click tab. So we want to show a check mark, which is a icon of green, the container decoration of green, which will be a circular. This will be similar to what we have to this. Okay, that's what we are going to show if it is successful. Okay, and then now down here we don't want to show these words if it is loading. Okay, so what we'll do here, we'll get this is loading. Let's copy that. Then down here, if is loading is got to true, here we are going to show this size box dot shrink. Okay, else if it is not loading, that's when we are going to show this text, which is the same thing that will happen even down here. Let's copy that, and then down here, that's what will happen. If it is loading, we are going to show an empty size box. If it is not loading, we are going to show this text which says resend. So here we need to add to do resend the OTP code. Okay, so that's the full functionality of our OTP screen. This video seems to be long enough now, but maybe before we end this video, we can go ahead and try this function. Okay, so let's reload the application, then let's give it a try. So let's say we forgot to add a 0 there. Okay, great. Now let's do that. Now let's try to enter the OTP here. You can see success, and then we have that. Okay, now this is done and it looks fine. Now we only have one error. Okay, so let's close that. So this error, I know what it is. We've done all these methods, but we forgot to go to our Firebase and create our database. If we minimize, we can see that we don't have a database here. To create a database, which is what we are going to do in the next one, because this video is long enough. Maybe let's end it right here, and then the next one we are going to add storage, and then also we click here, we're going to add Firestore database. Thank you guys, and see you in the next video.